Come and dream with me.
Hello and welcome to What Do You Want to Watch, the Explosion Network's premier media podcast. Every fortnight we get together to talk about movies, TV and online content and help you answer the question, is Henry Cavill also in the Amazon Lord of the Rings movie? No, that's what Geralt looks like. I'm your host, Ashley Hobley, and joining me this episode is Nicholas Pryor.
It's Geralt, by the way.
Geralt? Maybe they should call him Geralt. Or appease it, make the fans just as angry as that tiny video.
Yeah, they were pretty mad about that. Oh, hi, by the way.
Also, yeah?
Yeah.
Also joining us, Dylan Blight.
In the books, he doesn't have a beard, so... Boom. Am I right, Nick? Am I right?
Mm.
So as people who've actually played the game, how do you feel about the first look?
I mean, it was only a screen test, so I'm sure they're going to do a lot of post
And more makeup.
yeah,
and...
post work and makeup and all that stuff. Like, I think
Then why release
I
it?
think it was an odd choice to put it out there like that. Like, they couldn't have looked at it and thought, oh yeah, this looks good.
It's the kind of thing you put out if you have no idea how the internet is.
Yeah.
But if you understand how the internet works, you go, no, don't do that.
It reminds
this
me
is
of
a
that
mistake.
when whoever did Suicide Squad put out the screen test to Jared Leto as the Joker, and the internet went mad crazy.
Yeah. Interesting choices. So let's jump into what's been in our watch list. Dylan, you went and saw First Man with Ryan Gosling, follow up to Damien Chazelle's follow up to La La Land's. How much singing and dancing was there?
There was at least one song played in the background. Hold on. No, right. He does dance with his wife at some point in the movie. There you go. Sold. It's official follow-up.
Yep.
Official follow-up.
It's all
they
linked.
Is it
dance.
actually a sequel?
No.
Oh.
It's a true
Prequel?
story. That is
Except before.
It's before La La Land when he went to the moon.
Oh,
When Neil Armstrong went to the moon,
what
yeah.
we're talking about.
Yes, the Neil Armstrong
You should pay
movie.
attention when you podcast.
You probably should, yes. It's from the same director as La La Land, though. That was the link. And you're like, how does because the Damien Chazelle, I'll tell you what, said it once, said it twice. What a director. That kid's going to go far. You know?
He's better
You
than
got Whiplash?
that Ben Wheatley guy.
No, Ben Wheatley's also something. We'll get to him in some time, though. Damien Chazelle, you got Whiplash over in one corner. It's basically a thriller
Oh, did he do
horror
Whiplash?
movie. Yeah. Next
Okay,
movie,
yeah,
La
okay.
La Land, throwback, proper, fun love story musical. And then he's like, okay, we'll do First Man, space movie. Also, it's worth shouting out, this is the first time I ever went to an IMAX movie theater. I wish I had one a lot closer because boy, oh boy. All of the movie wasn't shot in my IMAX, but when they got to the moon scene, watching that shit in IMAX, oh my God. Erections, left, right,
I
center.
hated
was
the
like,
IMAX theater.
What?
At least the one in Sydney.
What?
Yeah. It's,
Well, lucky they tore it down. They've been rebuilding it in the last 2 years.
It was garbage. It was far too cramped. You were pretty much sitting on top of each other. And the session I went to, they could have spaced everyone out, but they sat everyone right in the middle, right next to each other. It was just...
Well, you need to be in the middle to see it properly.
No, and I didn't think it was that impressive. I think the Titan cinema close to home is a better experience than IMAX.
What'd you watch?
RoboCop.
Okay. RoboCop.
No, but I had been there before as a kid as well.
Okay. Well, my First Man experience was a good IMAX experience where I would describe it as when he's looking around on the moon, because it basically looked like I was looking for a window. This
Did they
giant
shoot on
window.
location?
Yes. I was looking for this
Where
giant
they shot
window
them
to the moon.
shooting the man on the moon.
Mm.
Where they shot the fake landing. Yeah.
Well, don't want to get into that flag stuff either. I think that the best thing about First Man is it's really intense, like really, really intense. But the funniest thing about that when I left the cinema is talking about how intense it was to Cherie, who watched it with me. And she's like, fucking hell, you were like sitting there looking like you was going to have a heart attack at times. And I'm like, it's an intense movie. What do you want me to say? It's hardcore.
It was still intense even though you know what happens.
That's the thing I was saying. I'm like, is it so funny that I was getting so tensed up about this movie knowing that you know what happens. But it's just the way it was shot, and all, like the way it was presented, it's shot really, really well and edited really, really well to give you this claustrophobic feel all the time. And the movie straight away opens with this really intense part where Neil's in a ship. This is before he's part of NASA, and he's in this ship or whatever, and he's supposed to be like an airplane. He's supposed to be flying it really close to the atmosphere, like close to space or whatever. And he reaches the top and he stops there for a second, and he's supposed to like come straight back down to Earth or whatever. But he stops there for a few too many seconds, looking off into space, going, "Oh, space, that's exciting." And of course, they have a close up of his eyes, you know, saying, "Look, Neil Armstrong loves look out into the stars." But then the gravitational pull grabs him, or something like that, and then all of a sudden his plane's starting to get grabbed and pulled out towards space. So then you have this the movie just opens with this really intense thing of he's gonna get fucking stuck in space. What are you shaking your head about? I don't know if I'm
That's not
describing
how gravity
it right.
works. Gravity doesn't push you away from the planet.
I don't know. They explain it in the movie. I'm probably not explaining it right. All I know is he got
Clearly.
fucked. He was getting dragged into space somehow. When they actually get into the NASA stuff, because there's so many characters that I actually didn't know about, because you obviously just know Neil and I've already forgot what's
Buzz Aldrin.
Buzz Aldrin, yeah. Buzz is a real dick, apparently. If this movie's anything to go off, he is a real arsehole, or cocky arsehole, I guess is the best way to describe him. But then there was a lot of the other people working on that I didn't know anything about and what they go through, and a lot of them die through different tests and stuff that they do to get to the moon landing. But it's not a movie that's focused on NASA. It's definitely a movie focused on, as the title says, the first man. The movie's just about him dealing with also his family life, his wife. Within the first 15 minutes of the movie, his daughter dies from a tumor, and she's like 8 years old. So that then they kind of center the remainder of the movie around him having, like, it changes him obviously, and they tie that all back into an emotional event for him when he finally reaches the moon. So that was good. I really enjoyed it. Ryan Gosling's really, really good as well. There's one scene where he basically breaks down crying and stuff that I was like, yeah, Ryan Gosling's a really underrated actor, I feel.
How does it go with its companion film, The Dish?
I don't like The Dish. I'd prefer this.
Controversial opinion.
Some would say.
Some would say. Nick, you and me have both seen another big movie that was released in the last couple of weeks. A Star is Born. What'd you think?
I want to hear what you think first.
I really liked this. I really enjoyed it. It was an emotional roller coaster. I went to see it with Kieran in Melbourne right before PAX, and the first thing he said to me, I'm pretty sure, was something along the lines of, "That movie just wrecked me," or something. Like, yeah, we were both tearing up towards the end. I'm sure Lady Gaga and Bradley Cooper are going to get Oscar noms for this, and this will get a lot of awards love. But I think you didn't like it as much. Am I correct, Nick?
Yeah, I really enjoyed it up until about the halfway point when she actually became a star. I felt the pacing from there on out just slowed right up, and I just kind of lost interest in it. And I felt like the runtime itself was a bit too long as well. Like, I feel like they could have cut a fair few scenes or shortened it a bit. But my biggest takeaway from it was Gaga and Cooper were fantastic actors and acting in it, and I really enjoyed the soundtrack. I've been listening to it quite a bit ever since I saw it.
Yeah, that first time she gets on stage with Bradley Cooper in front of that crowd.
Yeah.
Oh, that's like the highlight of the film. Like,
yeah, the actual
like
concert scenes were really, really well done.
Yeah. I think I said to Kieran as well that if the movie had have ended at that point, I think I would have been content.
Yeah.
I would have been happy.
I feel like they wanted to
go on
play
to
too much homage to the other ones, because from what I've read, it follows a very similar sort of storyline to the
other three.
Yeah.
This is the fourth version of this. Yeah. I enjoyed it. I thought Lady Gaga did a really great job. Obviously, people are like so surprised, but she's been doing like a few seasons of American Horror Story, from what I believe as well. So she's not like an unknown. I did have some like camera shot issues and that sort of stuff, like some stuff like that. And then I think towards the end there was a bit like obvious foreshadowing.
Yeah, and
like
one other thing that I just remembered, that I had a bit of an issue with the mixing as well. Like, I couldn't understand what Bradley Cooper was saying most of the time, or Sam Elliott.
Yeah, but that's the kind of men they are. You can't hear them.
That doesn't work for a movie, though.
That doesn't help.
Yeah, you're supposed to get
help, no.
attached if you can't fucking understand what they're saying.
Yeah. Also, I felt like so Bradley Cooper's character has like tinnitus,
Yeah.
and it says it is an issue, and it's like barely.
It's
Does he
barely
ever address
touched
that
upon.
with?
No.
Does he ever address that with?
No, he never.
Ellie,
From what I know, he never brings it up on screen
Yeah,
with
it's
her.
an odd. It was an odd thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then like I said, there was some foreshadowing at the end where it was a bit obvious, like a bit on the nose. But yeah, A Star Is Born. Buddy loved it as well. You should definitely check it out. Dylan, you also went and saw Halloween on Halloween.
I did.
Now, which version of Halloween was this?
The sequel to the original. They took
Halloween
they
two.
took
The original
40
movie
they
called
took 40
Halloween?
years. They took 40 years to make it.
Yeah.
Which is really weird considering how big a success the first one
Why
was.
didn't they just call it Halloween 2?
I have no idea, honestly. It's very, very weird. I presume it was just to try and get more audience, like people not turned off by the numbering thing. But if you already
It's
know,
just confusing.
it's just confusing once you're actually watching the movie is the problem. And it also, without spoilers, and I don't feel like this is a huge spoiler, given that it's a movie that has 10 sequels already, they, of course, leave open the possibility of another one, which at what point is it then called Halloween 2? Because then fuck off. No.
It's Halloween
don't.
2.
That would be quite silly.
That'll be the third Halloween 2.
Can you go into it not seeing the original?
Yeah, because they cover the ground pretty fast, and
Okay.
I mean honestly, the plot of the original, it's so simple that you can cover it within 5 minutes. You know, the movie starts with two. You would have seen it in the trailers, yeah, if you've watched them. The movie starts with these two podcast people. They're basically ripping off Serial. They're like we do podcasts about true crime or whatever, and they're coming to visit Michael in prison. And then of course while they're talking to the people there, you basically get the story. Oh, Michael blah 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 killed 4 or 5 people, however it was, 40 years ago, blah blah blah. So one person escaped, now he's been locked up here for that entire time. That's all you need to know from the first film. Someone went around, killed a bunch of people in a neighborhood, one person survived, you'll meet them shortly, he's been locked up, he's a psychopath. Like the plot is so simple for the first film, really.
Because I've only seen the Rob Zombie ones. Is Michael Myers supposed to be a supernatural kind of figure, or is he just a person?
He's a person.
Okay.
He's just I mean, when John Carpenter did it, he purposely was trying to say, like, personify evil, which they do carry on in this movie, because like he was never named in the first one, and he was credited just as the Shape.
Yeah.
In the credits, it was just the Shape, which was going off the whole people, you know, evil has no shape boundaries or anything, you know, was the whole thing. So it's just credited as the Shape. So I think you can watch it without. If you've watched the Rob Zombie ones, then just delete the information that he has any relation to anyone in the movie.
Yeah.
And then you're good to go. Like everything else will
Also,
basically the same.
canonically, he's not related to Jamie Lee Curtis.
No.
Oh, so
That
that's
was
only
that was
added in the Rob Zombie thing.
No, they added that in the second film.
Okay.
The proper second film.
Right.
But now this new second one, they've gone and deleted that.
Okay, right.
Yeah, that wasn't part in the that's what I'm saying. The original movie was so simple. It is literally old school 70s slasher. Here's a bunch of girls going around high school, whatever. Guy shows up, mask, knife, starts killing him. Why? Doesn't matter. Just kills him. It's a lot of fun. Cool soundtrack. Old school horror movie. And of course, at the end, they think they've killed him, but in this movie they say, oh, they stopped him from dying and they've locked him up in prison, blah 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 blah, and then that's basically how it goes. It is such a weird and interesting choice to go about it. They were trying to make this movie for so long. I remember years ago reading about all the different variations that they were trying to do, that like all the different directors, and it was going to be a sequel to this. Of course, the one we were just talking about, Rob Zombie did two movies. I really like the first one. I don't like the second one, full stop.
I don't remember the second one enough, but I remember really liking the first.
Yeah, I really like the first one. A lot of people hate it, like purists of Halloween hate it, because it gives Michael a backstory, and people preferred him to just be this, like, no backstory. He's just evil.
Force of
you know?
nature.
There's the force of nature, which they do keep to in this movie. They never try and explain anything about him. They never try and give him any history or anything. It is much like the first one, where it's just like, it's a guy who wants to kill. Why does he want to kill? He's evil. That's why he wants to kill. He just wants to kill people because he's evil. This one also has a lot more kills and deaths and a lot more gore in it than the first one, but that's just updating it to the 2000th century. Jamie Lee Curtis, Laurie Strode is the best part of the movie, though, because she's basically Ripley from the Alien franchise in this, but for a Halloween movie where she's basically been training and all these guns and whatever else, and then all of a sudden the force of evil turns up and she's like cocks a gun and she's off to she's fucking Sarah Connor. I didn't love it. It's a lot. It's better than all other proper sequels. Better than most horror sequels. There was too much comedy to the point where it wrecked a lot of the tense scenes. And I think that does come from the fact it's directed by, what's his name? David Gordon Green, and it was written by him plus Danny McBride, who of course have...
Danny McBride, wow.
Yeah. They have, of course, comedy background, and there is one particular scene where it could have been the tensest moment of the film, but they have a little kid there cracking jokes, and my whole cinema was laughing. And I'm like, I'm not saying you can't put jokes in horror movies. There are times and places where you can put jokes and have the audience laugh. But if you're having them crack up right before you want them to be really tense and scared and on the edge of their seat for the next 5 to 10 minutes, and you just have like 5-10 jokes coming out of this little kid's mouth, it's not the way to go about it. And also, David Gordon Green doesn't have quite how to shoot horror as well as a lot of people. And that was evident so early in this movie when Michael first shows up back in town. They do this like 5 to 10 minute long no cut scene of Michael walking into houses. He kills a couple people and the camera like kind of follows him around, which is cool in certain types of movies. In a horror movie, I don't want that. I want to be tense, scared. I don't want the camera following the villain around, showing me what they're doing. It's just not how you do horror to me. It's the opposite of how you do horror. So, but those parts it was good. Basically, all the stuff with Laurie and her family equals out a lot of the problems of it had not being scary enough. But I would say it's not a very scary movie, but it's an enjoyable horror movie, I guess. Yeah.
Worth the ticket price?
Yeah, I guess.
Worth seeing on Halloween is...
well, there's nothing else out for Halloween, so yeah, it's all I had made choices. What are the Halloween movies this year? Halloween, all right.
Which is odd because there's normally a fair few horror movies.
Usually, yeah, but I think everyone got scared off by this. I mean, it was making a lot of money as well in America, so
yeah. Yes, sort of more spaced out horror movies now. They don't feel.
They come out all year long these days instead of 20 years
just
ago where they come out at the same time.
Yeah. Nick, I've been noticing you've been watching a certain anime that isn't called Evangelion.
Shock horror.
Can you talk about Goblin Slayer?
Is this the goblin fucking thing?
Hey?
Is this the goblin fucking thing?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I know what this is then.
Yeah, I mean, outside of like the shocking like scenes, I mean, I don't think there's a whole lot different to a lot of other animes that I've tried to watch. It just seems to be the same, like, basic, like, structure, like, clueless badass guy goes on doing his thing and he picks up, like, a group of followers, like, 2 girls are fighting over him and love him, and then there's, like, a goofy character and another serious character, and they go off doing hijinks. I don't think it's very deep. I think the only reason it's gotten any attention is because of the shocking scenes it had, which, I mean, they're bad, but they're not like turn away and can't look at them. I mean, I mean, I'm not the biggest anime fan as it is, so I don't know if there's any nuances that I'm missing.
So why are you watching it? Because you sound like you're not enjoying it.
Yeah, I mean...
You're like 6 episodes in.
4 episodes. 5. I was watching the 5th. Yeah. I wanted to see what the big hullabaloo was about, and then I don't know, I just kind of, there are my suggestions every Sunday, and I was like, oh, there's 20 minutes to kill. But yeah.
What are you watching it on?
YouTube.
Oh, okay. Is it a Prime or whatever the?
No, people are just ripping at him.
Oh. So I'll quickly touch on the other CW superhero show that I'm watching that came back.
I heard it was
Legends
good
tomorrow.
Though. I heard it was crazy, like weird good.
It is crazy, yeah. If you started watching Legends tomorrow and dropped off after season 1, I highly suggest continuing from season 2. It definitely improved dramatically, and it just keeps getting more zany and meta and crazy. This year they've brought in Constantine to be a member of the team because they released a bunch of magical creatures across the timeline, so they've got to deal with those. And in the first episode, they have to go to Woodstock and stop a magical unicorn that keeps murdering everybody and eating virgin hearts. It's crazy.
Is this kind of like a Doctor Who kind of thing where they jump across different time
Kind
zones
of. It's like it
happen?
does have that Doctor Who sort of vibe. Like probably not as
Did when Roy was in it.
Yeah, it's not as serious. And more ensemble based. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Characters are enjoyable.
I have a question.
Yes.
It's a slight spoiler, I suppose, if you care
Yeah.
about it. But so Constantine turns down working with the Legends team at first, and then something happens to him,
Yeah.
and then he's like, "Fuck, I need help," and then basically he goes and joins the Legends team, and so he's basically using them, right?
Yeah, pretty much. He hasn't told them that he got attacked.
Yeah, that's what I get it.
He's
Like,
got
because
something after him.
I read what happened in the episode out of interest because I wanted to know why Constantine joined the team. And when I read that, I was like, fuck, Constantine's just been a right old dick, isn't he? He's just
He's still a
straight
dick.
up.
He's like, no, I'm not going to be dress up and everything like you guys, because everybody sort of dressed up in the period to fit in. But no, he just walks around in his coat and tie.
Is it a high budget show?
I wouldn't say so, no. But
How can they afford
adequate.
Keanu Reeves?
Oh my god. Fuck off. It's like if I was intrigued because I did enjoy that Constantine show, and I was bummed it was
good
because it was picking up when it got cancelled because the first couple episodes were meh, but that's fine by me because that's how most shows start as far as I'm concerned, especially those types of shows. But it was picking up and then they cancelled. I was like, fuck. Plus,
especially on that like cliffhanger sort of
plus,
thing.
He's so good he's really, really good as Constantine.
Is it the same actor from the show?
It's the same actor, yeah.
Yeah, same actor. And he's done the animated thing as well. Whatever that was called, Constantine something or other, or
Blood
Justice League
and
Dark
something.
or something. Blood and something,
Blood
yeah.
in Cities or something.
He did the voice in that as well, and he's popped into Arrow a couple times as Constantine.
Yeah.
He's great. What's his name? Matt Ryan?
Matt
Is that
Ryan.
it? Yeah. He's really, really good. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, let's move into the mandatory Netflix segment of the show. So I've watched the full season of Chilling Adventures of Sabrina. I know you guys are about halfway through-ish.
I think I watched a 6 or 7.
We are planning to do a review discussion to break it all down, but if you want to just give like a 1-sentence review impressions of the show so far. Nick.
Above average.
Dylan.
I'm really enjoying it.
I am very excited for season 2.
Chapter 2.
Or part 2.
Yeah. Whatever they called it, yeah.
Dylan, you finished watching Making a Murderer season 2?
Yep.
Did they definitely not need to make a season 2?
No. Well, like they could have said. My problem is here. But when I finished it, I'm like, fuck. They've got a dilemma. They could have saved this and put it in the bank for it, and if they thought something was really going to happen in the next couple of years with, like him getting out of prison. But then I suppose the problem is they were like, fuck, we got all this. Then we try and fit that into 5 episodes. But then there's so much other stuff happening if he actually gets out of prison that would want to do episodes following him out. So by the end of the season, I'm like, I understand why this happens, but it just feels like I'm the off season to if they do a 3rd one, if he actually gets out or something like that, which I'm not, look, a lot of people, you go online and read about it, people are like, it's crazy, there's no way he's going to get out about it. The star of the show is his lawyer, and that's the reason you watch it, but she doesn't show up until episodes like 3 or 4. He gets some superstar lawyer who is basically, her job is to get people who've been wrongfully accused out of prison, like that's her thing, and she has presence, and she makes the show, like, I don't know if after this she'll get offered TV deals or something, but she just has that kind of TV presence to her, and I don't mean in like a 3 p.m. afternoon kind of corny Judge Judy or something like that way. I just mean she was persistent, and you can tell that she's actually out there to kick some ass, and she believes in what she does. And she's not quiet, and she's on Twitter. She has a Twitter handle. You follow her, and they bring up her tweets constantly on the show, and she'll just tweet stuff like, "Got some new evidence today, gonna fuck shit up," basically. And so she's a character. But yeah, I stand by my initial thoughts of it. It's if you like the first season, it's more of the same. It's easy to watch in the background like I did while I was doing stuff on my laptop, but it's nowhere near that first season of fuck, wow, what the fuck? Because it doesn't have we've been over this. None of you have watched the first season, have you? Or Nick started it and he didn't like it. Yeah, because the first season fucks you because you start it. You're like, here's a guy, he was in prison, he wrongfully accused for raping someone or something like that. He was in prison for like 18 years when he was a teenager, and now he's out, and now he's going to sue the government. Oh, now he's back in prison, and he's saying he was wrongfully committed again. Like that whole premise of the setup is like, what the fuck is going on? Is this real life? But the second season is just more of a courtroom legal stuff, if that interests you.
Cool. And you also watched Hip Hop Evolution.
The second season, or part 2, or whatever they call it. Yeah, I think there's like 3 or 4 episodes per thing. That is really interesting if you're into the genre. Because the first season starts right from, how did hip hop actually start? Where does it come from? Starts with like discos and all that sort of stuff, and then eventually gets into how rap is started. And the first couple episodes of the first season covers basically DJs before MCs actually start getting involved. Season 2 gets more up with like MC Hammer and that sort of stuff. It's really weird though, because the last episode ends with a literal cliffhanger of teasing. I can't remember who that's teasing. Something like Notorious B.I.G. or something like that. And they're leaving on such a big cliffhanger of, but the game was about to change. And then I was like, okay, where's the next episode? It doesn't exist. It's such a weird way to end the season. Because they okay, I guess I'll wait for more. But yeah, it's not like, hey, this is such a good documentary that even if you hate the genre, you can watch it because it's that good of a documentary. It is, hey, do you like hip hop music? This guy goes around, talks to a lot of, and interviews a bunch of people from the industry from today, from 50 years ago, So it's interesting though.
Cool. I also checked out the new, I guess, news comedy late night show, Patriarch with Hassan and Minaj, another graduate of The Daily Show. I really like Hassan. This is nothing new. I think we've seen these kind of shows a lot. It probably is most like Last Week Tonight, where it like focuses on a subject for like the 20, 30 minutes. It like goes in depth on the one subject. The 3 episodes they got up at the moment is about the Saudi prince, who I can't remember his name, but that was kind of relevant because of the murder over in
Mohammed
Turkey.
bin Saul.
Yeah, Mohammed Al Saul. Yeah, did a whole episode on that, explaining that situation. Also did an episode on Amazon and like how that's such a big thing, and how they're breaking antitrust laws, and how they've got like 60% of the market over in America. But yeah, it there's nothing really innovative or new. He's standing the whole time. That's a different. He's not sitting in a chair. So you can. But it felt, if you saw his comedy special on Netflix, Homecoming King, it sort of feels like that, because during that he had like a lot of screens around him showing little other different things, sort of add to his performance. But yeah, obviously it's only like 3 episodes in. We'll see how it goes. Yeah,
I'm intrigued because Last Week Tonight isn't on Netflix.
Yeah,
that's so there's the thing. You're like, it's like Last Week Tonight, but Last Week Tonight isn't on Netflix. So if you don't have access to Last Week Tonight, which if you live in Australia,
I guess it is something different to what Netflix is offering. But
yeah,
they had the Michelle Wolf show that they cancelled. So
that wasn't like Last Week Tonight though.
Yeah,
that was several like smaller bits with
I guess
her spin on it. That was more like a lot of other variety shows they have on, even the Joel McHale one and whatever. Like it's just sketchy. I don't even know, but this if you're saying it's more like Last Week Tonight, then it does separate it more from the Netflix of the Netflix.
Also,
stuff.
he leans heavily into his Muslim Indian background. There's a lot of references to Indian uncles and other Asian sort of things. So I don't know how that will translate to certain people, but yeah, I enjoyed it. I'll probably keep checking it out if I got to spare half an hour or so.
I might check it out.
Yeah. Let's move into the news. A couple weeks ago, we talked about the second season of American Vandal and how it was awesome. That's how I remember it anyway.
So
and then,
awesome.
lo and behold, Netflix has cancelled it. Yeah, so they decided to cancel not be returning for a third season on the streaming service. They're citing mostly that Netflix is looking to reduce their things to being more in-house because it is being produced by CBS Television Studios, Funny or Die, and 3 Arts. I guess, Nick, were you surprised?
From a creative standpoint, no, because I really don't know what more they could have done. Like, how many more dick shit joke, like, running themes can you
Urine?
really do? Yeah.
I don't know.
Even
Yet.
more redundant.
I'm sure they've got something they could have come up with, but to actively shut it down before you've been pitched or something.
From a business standpoint, it makes sense for them as well because they're not sharing profits, creative control, anything like that.
It feels more and more that Netflix are trying to cut costs at the moment.
Yeah.
We've seen them cut all the two of their Marvel TV shows, a bunch of other shows that it seemed like they used to renew everything. Now they don't.
I think also because I think they're feeling the pressure of Disney streaming service and all these other streaming services when they used to be the big major player, but now they've got all this competition. They're going to try and make smarter moves with their money.
Yeah. Dylan, do you have any opinions?
No, it doesn't really affect me because I can still start season 1 any day that I choose, and it'll be there, and then I can do season 2 and I'll finish it, and then all right, there's that. Those 2 seasons are done. My American Vandal time is over.
Okay. Apparently, J.J. Abrams is looking to sign a mega deal. He wants to specifically somewhere that he can do films, television series, digital content, music, games, consumer products, and theme park opportunities. Apparently, he's being courted by Walt Disney Company, Universal, and Warner Brothers. This is after his long-running deal with Paramount is set to come to an end. This would sort of put him on the same standing as a Steven Spielberg, like creatively
I think
wise.
he'd be higher than Steven Spielberg.
Yeah. What do you think? Do you think he is of that standing in the industry at the moment?
I think he is at this point in time. Like, he is so synonymous with so many big franchises and
but he didn't
creative
create any of
properties
them.
that, yeah.
He's sort of helped build pre-existing franchises.
Exactly. Yeah, but
I mean, is that
good on him if he gets the deal.
as valuable? I guess. Yeah.
I think the value comes that, like, if you want to just look at his directing or whatever and judge it on that, that's not what you should be looking at. You should be looking at what he produces.
He's produced.
Yeah, which is he produces
Alias,
so much stuff,
things.
and not all of it's great, of course, but that's like where the Steven Spielberg comparison comes in, because Spielberg still to this day produces a lot of stuff that you might not even realize that he's helping out with. So that's why JJ is such a big name, and you can actually put his name in a trailer now, and it means something. You know, from JJ Abrams. It's like, what did he do? Well, he read the script and said, "This sounds cool. Get this. Sure, have some money." You know, like. But his name is big enough to do that. Now, I don't know, like, who else you would put up there. Spielberg, I'd actually put Michael Bay up there, because Michael Bay's or Jerry Bruckheimer.
Yeah, Tony Scott.
Yeah,
Really Scott.
Well, I was trying to think like who are the big names. You can't put like Jason Blum, like, but Blumhouse Productions is like, when it comes to horror movies, it like sells itself. So I don't know. It's sure
Cameron.
He wants money. Give him money if someone wants to give him money. It's such a weird news story. When I saw it, I was like, J.J. Abrams seeking money, basically is how it read to me. I was like, yeah, me too. Me too, pal. Me too.
Who was it? Any preference? Or is it just not Disney because you don't want Disney to have everything?
I don't care who gets it, to be honest.
Um,
I imagine Disney would want to keep him in house because of his ties with Star Wars now.
what were the options?
Yeah.
What was it? Disney, Paramount.
Warner Brothers.
No, Disney, Warner Brothers, and Universal.
Uh,
He does currently
I don't
have
think
a
Universal
deal
has
with
the
Warner
buying
Brothers,
power.
a television deal with Warner Brothers.
I'd say
They're
I'd
obviously
prefer him to
doing
go to Warner
Westworld
Brothers.
and that sort of stuff. Yeah.
I'd prefer him to go to
It
Warner
would
Brothers.
either be one of the two because of if he wants theme park stuff, like you just said. I don't think Universal
Yeah.
has the clout there.
They do. They've got their Warner Universal Studios over in America, where Harry Potter Land is at the moment, and a bunch of other stuff. So, I feel, yeah, I don't know if he really wants to do theme parks, but it's just like chuck that in the listings to improve the story.
Universe theme park.
I think he's just gone to a shelf and just wiped everything he could possibly think in a basket, and stuff gets picked out. He goes, "Yeah, okay, whatever. I didn't want that anyway."
Yeah, I mean, I would ride a ride invented by J. Abrams.
Sure.
Why not?
It's just a weird news story because it's only reported because of who he is.
Yeah, it's an industry story, but I think it's interesting because
J.J. Abrams seeking money once again.
I can't think of anyone bigger than him at the moment in the industry.
Like in that sort of role.
Yeah,
Yeah. Not really.
and for him to be on the open market essentially
Yeah.
after having long-standing ties with Paramount. Yeah,
His
It's interesting, I think.
Paramount deal's been good to him though. It's like let's
Yeah.
not.
I mean, he's barely done anything for them though.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
Yeah, I think it's. Yeah, Cloverfield maybe be the last thing he did for them, but yeah.
That was a big part of his. I feel like that was a big.
Part of his introduction to
Yeah.
give him a leg up.
Especially like the pop culture world.
Yeah,
Lost,
Lost.
Aliens.
Yeah, Lost. Yeah.
Lost is huge. Yeah,
Fringe.
The better show. Yeah.
Mm. Yeah, Fringe was good.
Fringe is amazing.
I
Fringe
love
is one of the best shows.
Yeah, it is.
Underrated. Not enough people watched it.
Yeah. So apparently, Disney is looking at rebooting Pirates of the Caribbean
No.
from the writers of Deadpool, with Jerry Bruckheimer still producing.
There he is.
Yep. Apparently, they also noticed that the last few films have not been very good and have not been performing financially. Would you see a new Pirates of the Caribbean trilogy series of movies, assuming quite correctly that Johnny Depp is not involved?
Only if it's a reboot that isn't trying to be anything like the original franchise.
I wanted to be a Pirates of the Caribbean, but like Pirates of Africa, and they're like African pirates.
Why?
I don't know if there were that many pirates from Africa.
I mean, modern day pirates.
Oh. I don't think that would be as fun and
No, I
swashbuckly
think
as-
that's.
It'd be interesting, wouldn't it?
It'd be interesting. Yeah, I don't
No,
think
I think we've already seen that movie. What was the one
Yeah.
with Tom Hanks?
Yeah.
I'm the captain now.
Yeah, I was trying to think of the name, but I couldn't
I
remember.
can't remember now. The Captain or something, wasn't it? I don't know.
Captain Phillips,
Captain
is that
Phil-
it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
something like that.
I don't know,
Something
like-
like that.
Doesn't matter.
If they reboot it and there's still a Captain Jack character or someone similar to the Captain Jack character and that's the premise, then I give zero fucks. If they reboot it and it's like 10 years later, so at least it's a little bit further down the path time period wise or something like that, and completely different characters just set in the same kind of world or the same sort of premise about fantasy pirate stuff, then
Yeah.
maybe it could be interesting. But if it just tries to mimic too much of the original, especially the Johnny Depp Captain Jack character, which people are going to say, well, how do you not do it without that? I say, well, try. Or
Well,
else,
lately you haven't been doing it with
yeah, you do it with him and it's still no one cares. So
there's a fun fact that I read that Johnny Depp, I don't know if he was the only one or one of the few to be nominated for Best Actor for the same character, and the Razzies later in the series for the Worst Actor.
I think there's
surprising.
there's like 2 or 3 people over. I don't know who they are, but yeah, I remember reading that.
Yeah. What are your opinions on Pirates of the Caribbean, Nick? Because we discussed this briefly on the last episode 18 of Dash Culture, when one
Briefly.
Paul James called Pirates of the Caribbean his favorite movie of all time.
I heard that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's an opinion. He's entitled to it. I enjoyed I think the second one is my favourite, but I only seen the first three. Anything after that, I didn't even bother. I wanted to watch...
Coming soon, dude. What are we watching?
Oh, I wanted to watch the one with Ian McShane where he plays Blackbeard, but I just never got around to it, and I heard it wasn't that great.
Yeah. I enjoyed the first one. I think it's a fun...
I mean, it's a series. I mean, the first few are fun, but, like... Yeah.
And Dylan, you just hate everything with Johnny Depp, right?
No, they're crap after the first one, is my opinion.
Okay, yeah. So the first one's fine.
No, I like David Jones.
The first one's fine. Yeah, the first one's great.
Why are you giving Paul James so much shit?
I watched the first one heaps of times when it came out. That first shot of Captain Jack arriving with his ship sinking and he perfectly steps off the top of it onto the Yeti or whatever there at the start of the movie. That's
the Yeti.
Whatever it is, I don't fucking know.
the wharf, the dog.
I fucking don't know. The wooden...
He steps on a fucking giant Bigfoot kind of person.
Wooden planks there, whatever he does. That's a great moment for that movie. That's good moment, good memories.
So we find out our first tidbits of news of the Game of Thrones prequel series that's coming to HBO. We know that Naomi Watts has been cast in a role. An actor called Josh Whitehouse has also been cast.
Wow.
It is co-created with Jane Goldman of Kick-Ass fame.
I like her.
With Martin, and the official description is that it chronicles the world's descent from the golden age of heroes into its darkest hour. And only one thing is for sure, from the horrifying secrets of Westeros history to the true origin of the White Walkers, the mysteries of the East to the Starks of legend, it's not the story we think we know. How are we feeling about this? Is this something we need? Is it something that's going to be even close to as successful as Game of Thrones?
I'm worried because they have shown that they cannot do the show very well without not JRR. Fucking George Railroad's story to follow.
Yeah.
I'll watch it. I don't know. I'll watch it. That's as far as I'm going to go.
That's as far as you're going to commit, yeah.
Is it something we need? No. Is it something I'll watch? Yes. I would have more faith in the first season of this than the last season of Game of Thrones because it's got completely different creative people in charge of it. And also because the people doing... me and Nick really didn't like the last season of Game of Thrones. That's a known fact. And the reason I'm not really looking forward to last season so much is because I feel like whatever their names is, I can't remember.
Benioff and Weiss.
Weiss, yeah, that's it. Weiss. They seem lost without the books because they had that structure for so many years, and as soon as they lost it, they're just like, "Fuck, what do we do now?" And they seem to be struggling with what to do. Whereas a brand new show that doesn't have the books to start off the process with just sets the standard of it's just like any other show. You know, they're going into it. Sure, it's based on a franchise with certain elements to it, but they're going in and setting up their creative structure. The ground floor is going to be them instead of building it on books and having to stick to some sort of rigid structure. So I would have more faith in the first season of this than the last season of Game of Thrones, to be honest.
I wonder if they're consulting Railroad over the history of the world and how.
Well, he's involved. He co-created the series, so.
Oh, okay.
He's definitely going to be.
I suppose it's easier for him to co-create a show than to write a fucking book.
Yeah, it's a lot of words. It's easier to tell somebody to write.
I can imagine sitting there on like some real comfy chair, getting head-fed grapes, and they go, "Oh, what do you think we do here, Railroad?" And he just rambles off in some stupid shit, and they go make a show.
It's like, shouldn't you be writing a book? No.
The Game of Thrones world has enough lore and everything built into it that a spin-off show isn't like you're like, yeah, that makes sense.
Well, they had 5 in the works, didn't they?
Yeah,
they were pitching 5.
That feels
series.
completely unnecessary, but we'll see. Yeah. And I do like Jane Goldman. She's a good writer, so I'm fine with that.
She is. I find it interesting that Naomi Watts is attached. I mean, she's probably a bigger actor
name
than anybody other than Sean Bean in the series so far, like from the jump.
Which means she dies.
Everybody else has sort of been built up through the series. So it'd be interesting to see if she suffers a similar fate.
Yeah, but I suppose that
Yeah.
we're in. It's a weird thing to say, of course, but it's like I feel like we're kind of in the return golden age of television, where actors
Peak TV age is what I've heard.
Actors once upon a time were like, "Fuck, I need to get out of TV to movies to be taken serious." Now actors are coming back to TV because they're like, movies most of the time are just big budget action fests where like comic book movies where I don't really get to test my chops as an actor. And if you want to do stuff where you actually get to be an actor, you kind of come back to TV and do a mini series or some sort of thing. That's why you get all these actors popping up in True Detective and all these HBO series and
James
stuff.
Franco and what's his face?
Yeah, the Juice and whatever else. So
Yeah.
TV is a place that actors don't shun.
Act.
They enjoy it, I suppose.
Okay. Sad news for Doctor Who fans. There will not be a Christmas episode this year. For the first time since its return in 2005, the Christmas special will not be airing on Christmas. There will be, apparently, though, a special airing on New Year's Day. Reasoning behind it is apparently they've run out of Christmas stories to tell.
Certainly have.
Do you think that's a realistic reasoning? Or is it creatively?
Yes.
I see a lot of people pretty angry. Someone says, that is a truly lame excuse. What kind of writer cannot come up with the fresh material for the Christmas season, for Pete's sake? What a stupid excuse to loyal and devoted fans. Geez, how hard is it to create a Christmas holidays episode? There's plenty of fanfic writers, myself included, who would gladly submitted a wonderful written script for the holiday season.
Oh dear.
I mean, it doesn't even have to be Christmas central. It just something happens in the Christmas period.
I mean, I just find it coincidental that every year he seems to accidentally
Fuck up
have
Christmas.
an adventure on Christmas night. Yeah.
I don't care. I do feel like they've done every stereotypical Christmas story like twice over at this point, and they most of the time, as you know, Nick was just saying, it's like it doesn't even need anything to do with Christmas. But then it's like, why is it a Christmas special then? If you can't have
It's
it,
a tradition.
if you can't, well, fuck tradition. That's the word tradition is one of the worst words in English language because it's what makes the human race stick to something for so long when they don't want to fucking change something. So I'm all for it. Do 10 years of New Year's specials and then go, fuck it, we're out of ideas for this, and then move it to Easter and so on and so forth. Don't give any shits. Do what you need to do. I'm as long as there is some special. That's the only thing.
Well, they're shooting 11 episodes, but the season 11 is only 10 episodes.
Yeah.
So
that's, if you want to talk about breaking tradition, it's not the Christmas part I want. It is just some sort of holiday timed special. It doesn't need to be a Christmas one. If it's a New Year's one, I don't care. It's still a special towards the end of the year of Doctor Who. That's the tradition for me, that there is some sort of special in that time period.
Yeah. I enjoy the Christmas special. The last ones have been pretty good. The last few years I've enjoyed.
Last year's was good.
The
Crossover
Dawn
with the first Doctor.
Doctor.
Yeah, that's good.
Then the year before that was the Many Husbands of River Song. That was good.
That was alright.
That was pretty good. And then there was the superhero one. That was enjoyable.
The what one?
The superhero one. Where's the superhero? The kid's got superpowers.
Oh, the Captain Mysterio, whatever. What was Captain Spirit?
Yeah, Captain Mysterio.
The giant robot one, that was like in the middle of Narnia Woods one, I think is what it looked like from memory. Yeah, that was alright.
Yeah. But I'm sure us Doctor Who fans will be happy and sated. And if you want to hear about more Doctor Who, me and Dylan are doing a podcast called Fish Fingers and Custard, where we recap and discuss every episode of this season. This season, it's gone pretty good.
Yeah.
Very positive, at least from us.
Yeah. Well, apart from that
check
one
that out.
where you looked bored the entire episode.
Yeah. News out of Halloween. Brie Larson dressed as Zero Suit Samus and apparently wants to play her in a movie. Do you want this to be a thing?
I don't care.
Could a Metro movie work? Is what probably the most interesting thing. Nintendo have been talking about doing live action movies again, attempting to do it again for a couple of years now, but we haven't seen any movement.
What do you mean, could it work? Let me boil down that question with this answer.
Do you think they could successfully make a movie that is accepted by the community?
No.
Yeah. Will it please the fans? Fuck no.
Yeah.
It would never
Okay.
please the fans. You would.
Will anything please the fans?
No.
though?
So no. That's a big old no.
Okay. Would Brie Larson be a good Samus?
I don't know, someone in a suit half the fucking time, so it's like Batman. It's like, who cares? It
Just
doesn't
get Carl Urban to do it.
Alright.
I mean, in the game, she doesn't take off her helmet until the end of the first game anyway. So
Yeah.
you know,
I know.
sure.
I think if they did animated film in like the art style of the new Spider-Man movie, animated movie, that'd be pretty cool.
I can't picture a live action thing watching someone.
No, I can't imagine a
turn
live
into a
action.
bowl.
How do you turn into that ball? Yeah.
and this roll along?
Yeah. You just go. You have to reset all your bones again.
Oscar-nominated actress Brie Larson stars in Bowl
Academy Award
Roller.
winner.
Yeah, Academy Award winner. Sorry, yeah. It's like it's worse than Transformers when I think about it. Good lord.
Yeah. Apparently, Castlevania producer Adi Shankar is going to be doing a iconic Japanese gaming series, making it into a TV series. Everybody is thinking it's going to be Legend of Zelda.
Nah.
Do you have any opinions on that?
What if a Legend of Zelda series could work, or what he's?
Would you watch it from him, and would a Legend of Zelda series work?
If it's animated, sure.
How's it work when he doesn't talk?
I reckon he would be doing like a Suda 51 game, like Killer 7 or something like that. Because I think that would work with him in what he's done.
more
previously.
violent.
He confirmed on his Instagram that he's working on an iconic Japanese gaming company to adapt one of their iconic video game series into a series to be announced on November 16th at 1 p.m.
And everyone just assumes it's Nintendo.
Yep, Nintendo's the big...
I don't think it'll be Nintendo, to
No?
be perfectly honest.
What gaming series would you like to see?
Mega Man.
Mega Man? Yeah?
Yep.
Sonic.
They're already working on a Sonic movie. I don't know if you know
I
that.
want to show too.
Detective Pikachu. Oh wait, fuck.
Yeah, that's also still in the works.
Tetris.
No, that's not Japanese. That's a Russian game.
Yeah, that's Russian.
Jeez. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe something left field. It's like a Japanese RPG, like a Persona or something. That'd be
Yeah,
pretty cool.
something left field, like a Japanese RPG.
Well, like
the
Mother-
only video genre with Japanese is fucking name.
Fuck you guys.
Like something left field, like a Japanese rally car
Final
racer.
Fantasy
And I'm
TV
like,
series.
yeah, I got you, Ash. I got you. A rally car racer. Something left field, like
Everybody-
a JRPG.
I can't wait
Give us
till they
the
do
Armored
a
Core
left
series that
field
we were all asking
Hollywood
for.
blockbuster Marvel movie.
Parasite Eve is the game they're turning into.
Oh
thing.
yeah, that could be good.
That would actually be a good one. There's my answer. Lock that in. Parasite Eve.
Okay, yeah. If you can make that happen, please do. Final thing I think I'll just touch on. Apparently, the Obamas are finally circling in on their first Netflix project. It's a book called The Fifth Risk, written by Michael Lewis, who is the writer of books, the books behind Blindside and Moneyball and The Big Short.
Yep.
So it pretty much focuses on the takeover of the Trump presidency and the administration. Is that something you'd want to check out? And it is a bit weird for the Obamas to be producing a show talking about their, what's the
Why
word?
not?
Not predecessors, but
Fuck it.
yeah.
I don't think it
Success.
I don't think it crosses any
They're
lines,
successes.
really. I mean, especially if they're so far gone now, they can just help make a movie that's basically like, yeah, we were smiling then, but now that with all the yellow tape's gone, fuck that guy.
It's been 2 years. I can say what I want.
Say what I want. Bargo's over now, kids. Sure. I'll watch it, I guess.
I know. I find it so interesting that Netflix has given the Obamas a production deal.
They had that really
Like-
popular movie based on the Obama's life or whatever that was out last year as well, I suppose. Apparently everyone watched
Yeah,
that.
but-
Well, I mean, I didn't watch it, but apparently everyone watched that. Barry? Is that what it's called? think so.
Yeah, I think there was something called Barry, but not the Bill Hader series.
No, not that one. That's completely different.
Bill Hader was not playing Barack Obama.
No.
It's okay. All right. That brings us to the end of this news segment. So, Dylan, what did we end up watching this week?
A Field in England.
This place holds a great treasure. Now you will find the treasure in this field, and I claim it. Listen.
Yes, the Ben Wheatley film from 2013. Amid the civil war in 17th century England, a group of deserters flee from battle through an overgrown field. Captured by an alchemist, the men are forced to help him search to find a hidden treasure that he believes to be buried in the field. Nick, did you understand what this movie was about? Because I sure didn't.
I want to apologise to M. Night Shyamalan. I want to thank Dylan because I, for the longest time, held the regard as The Village is the worst movie I've ever seen. But now this is the worst movie I have ever seen.
This is not worse than some of the other stuff we've watched.
This is the worst movie I have ever seen. I would rather watch everything else that we've ever watched for this show over this.
Okay, do you have a hashtag Nick's mini review for this?
A Field
Or is it
in
just
England.
these poop emoji for like 140
No.
characters?
A Field in England. Absolute drivel. It has it has one genuinely terrifying moment. The worst movie I have ever watched. 0.5 out of 10. Hashtag Nick's mini review.
Dylan, do you want to defend this and explain why you subjected us to this?
Well, to be fair, I haven't watched this before, so even if I agreed with Nick, it still wouldn't be my fault, you know. But no, I did enjoy it. I'm not saying it's the best movie ever made. However, I think something that helped me is I had read a lot about the movie before watching it because Ben Wheatley, the director, I like. I haven't watched all his movies yet, but he's someone I would like to catch up on everything he's done because I find him to be
It's a bit
really
eclectic, a bit
yeah, he does
divisive.
just a bit of
He's a
everything,
divisive
you know,
director, I
like
think,
Kill List, is it called Kill? Yeah, I think Kill List is one of his earlier movies that is really something. So I remember I couldn't stop thinking about it for like 2 weeks after watching. Sightseers is like one of the weirdest dark comedies you can probably watch, and then this is something really odd out there. There's so many weird decisions with this movie that just make it stand out, like even the casting.
Sorry.
Because I wanted to watch it because it was a Ben Wheatley film, but at the same time I was also really interested with the casting because you've got Julian Barrett, who is only in it for 5 minutes at the start, basically, and he's from the Mighty Boosh. But then the main character, who's played by Reese Shearsmith, is basically known as a comedy actor, or to a degree, or like a character comedy actor. And he was in a show I really, really liked a couple of years ago, probably like 10 years old at this point, called Psychoville. I don't know if anyone ever heard of that.
Nope.
But in that show, he played basically all the characters, you know, so he played like 12 different characters and costumes and stuff. So I found the casting interesting and all sorts of things. However, I had read interviews and watched interviews with Ben Wheatley before about this movie that helped me go in with a little bit of a different mindset, which is that the movie is about, and this is the thing that you didn't have, the movie is basically about someone who has got high on mushrooms and they're in a field. So all of the characters aren't real. They're all him. There's only one character in the movie, arguably, which is just Reese Shearsmith's character.
The whitehead character.
The alchemist is the Dr. Alchemist or whatever they called him in it. Yeah. The one who gets made into a dog and runs around to find the treasure or whatever.
The scene where he comes out of the tent and he looks real manic was that was the one scene that I thought was really good, but the rest of it was.
So because I think it was based on all these stories from 17th century when it's set about them fighting in the fields or whatever, and then being these these mushrooms that were so potent or whatever that people get high off. But then if they was fighting and stuff, that between it all, they would often, all of a sudden, the mushrooms would get blown up, and then the air would turn into basically like people accidentally getting high as fuck without meaning to in the middle of these fields. So I think it was kind of based on that idea. So what the point of the movie is, I don't know. that's the full stop of it. I find it is interesting for several reasons though. I do think it's as far as like the dialect goes and the attempt to make it realistic for the 17th century, its setting, I thought that was done well, especially from Reese Shearsmith, who's the alchemist. I thought he'd done a really good job at putting on this, the way he spoke and stuff like that sounded correct. I really like the cinematography as well. I think the black and white cinematography is really beautiful and helps with the low budget kind of setting and makes them look a bit more realistic for the time period as well. Costumes I thought were great. I suppose the biggest problem is whether you're on board for the plot. I think it's definitely a movie that if you want to ever attempt to understand what the whole point of it is, it's basically a minimum of 2 watches. I definitely don't think it's a movie you can watch once and understand.
Yeah, you're right. It isn't a movie you can watch once.
But I enjoyed it. I wouldn't like rush to watch it again. After watching it, I was thinking about it a lot, and I did go look up some of those interviews I'd already read stuff and went back over them because I found it interesting. There is threads of people talking about this movie. It's a very divisive movie. A lot of people hate it, of course. A lot of people write stuff like Nick's just said about it being, just absolute crap. And then you can find a lot of people saying, 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10 people love it. So divisive, interesting. I would prefer to watch a movie like this every now and then where I'm like, I'm not really sure what I watched it or if I like it or hate it compared to just watching movies and straight away walking out going, I loved it, I hated it, something that you're just like, I'm not really sure. So, but I had my time. You haven't said your piece yet, Ash. I presume you hated it as well.
I did not enjoy it. It felt more style over substance, and there was a lot of substance missing. I didn't care about anybody. I just wasn't invested at all in the film at all. I'm sure it didn't help that I was like kind of tired when I was watching the film, but yeah, I feel like you need to be very acutely aware and be aware what you're going into. I knew it was like a hallucinogenic, like trippy sort of film.
I'm pretty sure when he made it, he wanted it to, especially that psychedelic, the flashy scene they warn you about at the start.
Yeah.
Like, I'm pretty sure that was made with the intention of how can we make people high without actually making them do drugs while watching this movie, and that's what the purpose of that was.
I think taking drugs would have improved the experience.
I found an article on Google.
I'm pretty sure
someone wrote an article. Yeah, there's an article. I took mushrooms and watched A Field in England. Here are my thoughts. So that is the thing people have done. No, he was like it was a really great time. But it's definitely an arty farty movie is the way to go for it, I suppose.
Yeah, if it wasn't for the
there's
show,
a lot of
turned it off.
There are a lot of analogies and stuff with the dude they find, Michael Smiley's character, the one who makes him hunt for the treasure, basically being the devil, if the analogy. And so, and it's like because they always talk about he always talks about who they're working for, but they never mention it by name. And then there's a lot of theorizing that they're talking about God and all, so there's a lot of that kind of stuff if you want to delve into it, but it's definitely not a just put on, just sit back, enjoy movie. It's more of a arty farty SBS afternoon. So yeah. There you go, Field in England. I enjoyed it more than last week. I would rather watch this again than fucking last week's movie. That's my 2 cents.
Yeah.
Or last episodes.
Yeah, I could probably enjoy this again rather than Threads.
Yep.
But this did have one of my favorite quotes. I read it. So the friend guy is dying for some reason. Oh, he got shot.
Yeah.
He says, when you get to our house, send a message to my wife. Tell her I hate her. Tell her I did burn her father's barn. 'Twas punishment for forcing our marriage. Tell her I loved her sister, who I had many times from behind, like a beautiful proud So yeah, it's got
there are
that
a few
going
good
for
lines.
it.
when the guy was also taking a shit, I found it funny. They'll come over and tease him.
That was.
Have you ever seen a man take a crap before?
Is it a boy or a girl?
Yeah, is it a boy or a girl? Yeah, that was quite funny.
That was quite interesting.
Quickly before moving on, that like when now that I've said about it all being in his mind, a lot of the weird stuff in the movie kind of makes more sense when you look at it. Like, why does that character die over and over and come back? It's because there's no realism to it. There was never supposed to be any realism to it. When they're pulling on that rope thing, why do they suddenly discover the body of that dude on the ground? Don't know. That's what I'm saying. When you're watching it, none of it really makes sense. When you get to the end and you can rewatch it again or watch it the first time like I did with the thought process of this is all just someone having a fucking drug-filled mind trip in the middle of a field, basically. It's a little bit different, I think.
Cool. Well, that's it for this week's episode of What Do You Want to Watch? Dylan, where can people find you on Twitter and on Trakt.tv?
Viva La Dylan, both things. VIVALADIL.
What about you, Nick? Where can people find you those places?
In a field in England.
Quite possibly. And you can follow me at those places at Ashley Hobley, ASHLEYHOBLEY. This movie's just thrown me off. You can follow the Explosion Network at Explosion Pod. If you want to see our Sabrina review discussion, it'll be over at twitch.tv/explosionwork live some point. And then if you miss it, you can always go to youtube.com/Explosion Network to catch it later, or review discussions by Explosion Network on podcast services. You'll find it there. If you want to see all our reviews, our reacts, all the different things we do, you can go to explosionnetwork.com. If you've got any suggestions for the show, I'm thinking about doing possibly an awards thing for the end of the year. If you've got any suggestions for categories, send them to mail@explosionnetwork.com. Of course, if you could leave us a review, either on Apple Podcasts or on Podchaser, that would be greatly appreciated. Or if you can't do that, like, tell some random person on the street. Leave it. Go into, if you've got an old DVD store around you still, go find a fit copy of A Field in England and like leave a USB copy of this episode and save them the trouble of renting it. Wait, it'll make as much sense as this movie. All right. Thank you very much for listening. Until next time, keep watching stuff, I guess.
Hey there, dear listeners. Are you aware that the Explosion Network has a brand new video game podcast? You're not? Well, it's called Arcade Couch and it is available now. We kicked it off at PAX 2018 by recording the first episode right there and then, and now it is releasing every Saturday at 6 a.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Time. Go ahead and download it now on your favorite podcasting service. Simply search for Arcade Couch. Search for Explosion Network, whatever, however you want to go about it. Find it, subscribe to it. Grab your friends' phones, subscribe to it, check it out. Check out the first episode, live from PAX. Check out the second episode, live from our usual recording booths. But just check it out. Thank you for watching this week's episode. What do you want to watch? With the number one host, Ashley Hobley. You can join us here, same time, same bat channel, same Batmobile, 2 weeks' time. Oh. Yeah, thank you. You got the music.